My name is San. I am a marketing and storytelling coach, and I talk a lot about using storytelling and kind of finding your story to find your brand message, to kind of find yourself, right? So kind of like finding clarity through for your business as well as your kind of yourself and your personal brand. um and that's kind of, I think, a lot of what we're going to be talking about today. um so I work with a lot of personal brands. First person I'm going to bring on is Beck Johnson. Let me just add. Hey Beck, how are you?
Hey, son. Good, thank you. How are you?
Good to see you.
Good to
So
see you
let's start
too.
with where you're from and what you do, and then kind of what your question is.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me. I really, really appreciate this opportunity. My name is Beck Johnson. I'm in Minneapolis, Minnesota, in the States. And I do a few things. I am an audio engineer. That's what I have been doing for years. That's what I went to school for. I'm very passionate about sound and storytelling and shining light on voices that need to be heard. Another thing that I do is I'm a co-founder of a queer recovery community called Sonder Recovery. And I also am a microdose mentor, and that's been newer in the last year. So eventually, I want to combine all of these things: audio, microdose mentoring, and recovery work. Because for me, especially, microdosing really leveled up my experience in recovery. I had a really hard
Hmm.
time with not drinking until I started microdosing again. So I'm working on all of those things right now.
Got it. Got it. Okay, so you want to be able to kind of find the thread that
Yes.
that ties these things together. So I mean, what is the one thing that you want to take away from today?
Sure. So I have been really consuming all of the content that you have put out. And so I'm listening to you and doing the 90-day commitment to post every day on social media. I'm on day 10, and I'm new to social media. I don't really use it. I was on Instagram, didn't use it. So I only had 155 followers when I started this
Okay.
10 days ago. Now I'm up to like 160. So,
Okay.
but
That's awesome.
my question to you, and then I am going to start a podcast with this too, because that was your other recommendation
Yeah.
to start the podcast, put it on YouTube, then
Are
put
you
those.
doing it by yourself, or are you
I-
doing it with the?
I'm going to interview people.
Okay.
And so so my microdose website is called Heal That Shit Babe. And so it's healthatshitbabe.com. I want that to be the name of the website.
Can you put
I'm
that on
sorry,
the
of the
chat?
podcast. Pardon me?
No, I was just asking Gigi to put that on the
Oh,
chat.
okay. Thank you. So I want the podcast to be named Heal That Shit Babe, and sort of be an umbrella for anybody that is willing to
Got it. Got
talk
it.
about their healing experiences, whether it's yoga,
Yeah.
tarot, recovery,
Yeah.
microdosing, all of it. So my question for you is, I'm kind of struggling with the social media part of it and the posting every day to try to get to the 90 or 50,000 followers after 90 days.
Okay.
I'm making all these videos. I'm putting a lot of work into it because it's just a big learning curve for me. With my podcast that I start, and when I start chopping that up, is it okay to just have that giant umbrella now and put those on social media? And
Yeah.
also, if I'm putting out the content on Instagram as stories, that was your recommendation. Those go away after 24 hours. So do I post and then add them to my
No,
story?
no, don't add them to the stories. Okay, let's get into the technical part
Yeah.
of it in a little bit, but let's first talk about kind of the strategy first before we talk about like the how to execute, right? Um, okay, so there are three things that you're passionate about: audio engineering. You have this kind of nonprofit organization that you're running.
Yep.
What was it called again?
It's called
Queer
Sonder Recovery.
Sounder Recovery. Okay,
Mhm.
and then the last is, you're getting into this microdosing kind of thing.
Yep.
So you're interested in all of those, but I think. And do you want to build a personal brand?
I think
That's
so, because then I can grow and change with the brand itself.
got it. Got it.
With me, I
Perfect.
guess.
Okay, perfect. So You know what I would advise you to do is just to talk about, do not niche down right now.
Okay.
That's the opposite of what you probably heard from everyone else. Like, because everybody says know your niche before you start, which I agree with, but I also disagree with because I don't, I think a lot of times what happens is because people hear that, they tie themselves to a niche. And then what happens is like a few months later, they're like, oh shit, this is not what I want. Right. And then it's much harder to, shift from there then. Right. So, because I have a lot of people that come to me like that have a 10,000 followers, and they're like, "Oh, this is not what I want to do," or
Mm,
something like that, right? They've kind of, their audience have kind of shifted them almost, right?
yep.
Like, so you don't want that to happen. So, like, if you look at like Gary V, right? Do you know Gary V?
I know Gary Vee because you say his name all the time, and I still
Okay,
haven't looked him up.
okay. So Gary V is like a marketing, social media, I guess, entrepreneur, influencer, right? And if you look at like somebody like Joe Rogan, or like if you look at these people, there are, it's not just one thing that they're about. Like, for example, yes, his main thing is social media with Gary Vee, but he also makes these videos where he goes to like garage sales around his like neighborhood, and he buys this stuff and he sells them on eBay. But he also makes content about Pokemon cards and trading baseball cards. So there's all these other things that he also makes content about NFTs. So he makes content about what he likes, right? And then like same thing. If I like, the reason why I bring up these two people is because they're the ones that I follow, so I know. Like, for example, Joe Rogan, he's a podcaster, but he's also a comedian. Because I think jack of all trades is like they just know a little bit of anything, everything, but not enough of anything, right? Whereas in these guys, maybe know 3 or 4 things, but they know it deep. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And there's some magic that happens when that happens. For example, like I am a designer. I started out as a designer, web designer, but I ended up learning how to code. But then once I learned how to code, I was able to come up with ideas for designs that I could have never came up with if I just knew how to design and not know how to code. Like, for example, at that time, I mean, now a lot of people do it, but at that time, I wanted to make this app, where this website, where all the courses are there, and when everything's animated. When you click, it just opens up like this, and then you click again, it opens up. Like everything is like very animated, and that's something that I could not have even thought of is possible as a designer. But because I was also a developer, I knew what's possible, what's not possible. I knew what were the low hanging fruits we can use, things like that, right? And then later on, when I started making filmmaking, when I started doing filmmaking and storytelling, I ended up like, I figure out how to use storytelling in here too. Do you know what I mean? So everything that you do is gonna add to what you do, whether directly or indirectly. Okay.
Okay.
So what I would advise is for you to put out content about anything that you're interested in, anything that you're passionate about, and let the audience tell you out of those things what they want from you.
Okay.
That's the thing that I think a lot of people can't do. Meaning
Okay.
that audience keeps wanting this from you, but you're like, oh no, I put my stake on the ground. No, this is what I need to, you know what I mean? And
Sure.
there's like, this is a fine dance because I say, like, don't care about like what other people think, right? Like you have to do, you have to be authentic, right? But it's nuanced because yes, you have to be you. Let's say this is you. All of this is you. And this is the part that you want to really do, but the audience wants this, which is still you. But you just want, you know what I mean? And a lot of times what the reason why that happens is because when you're an expert in something, the thing that excites you, that the things that interest you are going to be the most bleeding edge of that thing that you're excited about, right? So
Mhm.
the thing that other people that are really passionate about that thing are also excited about, but not necessarily maybe the things that the beginner of that group will be excited about. Do you know what I mean? For example, like when it comes to audio engineering, there's going to be all this basic stuff that, you know, all the newbies are excited about that you're not excited about because you've been there a long time ago. You know what I mean? And it's going to be the same thing with the microdosing stuff, and so everything that you do is going to be similar like that. So in that sense, what people do is they don't talk about the boring stuff, the elementary stuff, because it doesn't excite them,
Yep.
even though that's what they want, right? So you need to know how to like push and pull. You need to know how to give them what they want. It's kind of like, I guess, like when you're parenting, right? Like you kind of have to lure the kids by like giving them what they want, making it fun, but then you gotta like get them to do the things that they don't want to do also, right? Like you have to find that balance, because the stuff that you want to give them are the, like, for me, here's an example. I know I make it big, but here's a good example. Like for me, I hate giving okay, I hate putting out content like, okay, this is how you do this writing. Ding, 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 like the practical, like, the writing techniques and those things. People love that shit. Like whenever I do those, it goes viral. But I don't want to do it because that one trick is not really going to help you in the long run. Do you know what I mean? I want to teach you the roots of storytelling, right? But the way I can get them here is I got to start here. And then I got to get them one step. And that's where I was. I'll get into that specific strategy later. Okay, so what I recommend you to do is start broad, meaning put out everything that you're excited about, and then listen to the audience and start narrowing it down. And then boom, now you have your niche. Okay, you're known as this person. Okay, now you can start branching out again. Do you understand what I mean?
Got it.
Because what happens is, in the beginning, this is the period where you're finding out who you really are. Who am I? What is the thing that connects with the people all over the world with me? Because yes, there's something that you might really connect with just these few people. But then there's something that about you that a million people can connect with. So we need to find out what that is, and that's your niche. Once you
Okay.
find that, okay? And I'm going to give you an example of that. And then once you find your niche, now people are going to you because of that niche. It's like, oh, you're known as this person. Like, for example, Mel Robbins, she was known as the 5-second lady, right? Jay Shetty, he's known as the guy who went to become a monk for 3 years, Like, Gary Vee, he was known as the guy who sold wine on YouTube. Like, you get known for one specific thing, because you have to be known for one clear thing for it to spread mass. Otherwise, because I can't tell a too complex story and make it go viral. But if I have a clear story, like, oh, this guy, he went to university and blah, 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 and then he saw this monk and he just decided to go become a monk for 3 years. Like, if it's a simple story, I can tell it and they can tell it. They can tell it, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? So that's where that comes. But once you get known, the reason why you can branch out is now they're not following you because of the niche. They're following you because of you. And then you can start talking about all those other stuff.
Got it.
Do you
Okay.
understand what I mean?
Yeah.
So in the beginning, people follow you for the niche, and later on, they follow the niche because of you.
Okay. Okay.
Do you understand what I mean?
Does that include audio engineering? Like I can be like, "Oh, I love
And I
headphones."
think you'll find how exactly that'll manifest. I think you'll figure it out.
Okay.
But what I would recommend is, from day to day, don't ever look for it. Don't look for that niche.
Okay.
That niche will become so clear to you one day.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But
Sure.
until that day, I mean, when that happens, obviously you don't have to look for it because it's so clear. But until that, the more you look for it, the more it's gonna get in the way, in my opinion.
I love that. Thank you.
Yeah.
This is helpful. So now I can just post about everything that I like
Yeah,
to nerd out about.
yeah. And so now what you're doing is you're gonna if you really really like something about audio engineering that excites you, like you talk about that, right?
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, that didn't do well. How like now on Instagram and TikTok. I don't know if you're on TikTok, but they give you a retention graph, so it tells you where people drop off. So you can
Okay.
kind of look at that and be like, oh, like everybody's dropping off in the first 2 seconds. Okay, so maybe I should start off with like, you know what I mean, like just experiment, you know. But I don't even worry about that because the human brain is so fascinating. The human brain is so smart that if I tell you to write something or draw something 100 times, like no matter how, even if you're not trying, you're just gonna get better at it. Because I think human brain adjusts accordingly, like automatically. It's like you're automatically gonna notice those things, and you're gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna try this now. You know what I mean?
So even with the podcast, I do that. I
Yeah.
talk about whatever I want. So maybe don't do Heal That Shit Babe for the podcast or keep that.
No, no, do it. Do that.
Okay.
But then within there, don't feel like you only need to talk about that.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
with my podcast, I just like I let it rip. Like whatever comes up, because I think that's when you can truly be you. Here's another thing. Here's something else. Sometimes there are certain things that are really cool or really good content that I say, but people don't react that well. But sometimes it's something that it wasn't even something that good, but just that because of the way I say it, like the passion that I bring to it, they actually resonate with that more. And that's the reason why I said you got to just let it rip, because those moments just come and go. Like I can't decide to be like, you know what I mean? Those moments just come and go. Like, so yeah. That's why I got to just put out everything.
Okay.
Um so before, when I was telling you like how it manifests to a niche, this is what I'm talking about. So when I started on Instagram, I just started talking about marketing, right? And then personal branding a little bit because that's what I was interested in. And then more and more people started like wanting me to talk about Instagram, storytelling, and things like that, right? So I gear a little bit more towards that. And then people also like all these like mindset stuff. And then so over time, I just kept putting up. Even now, if you see, I'm just putting out all different stuff. And I don't exactly know. Um, I don't exactly know how how like how my brand's gonna meant. Even now, I don't think I have a clear niche yet. I think I'm getting close to, like, I think what it is storytelling, but I'm not gonna I'm not gonna force it, is what I mean.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
hmm
And yeah, so what's happening is my niche, I would say, like, okay, this is gonna blow your mind. Who are some of the people that you follow that are big, that you look up to, or um
Well, I
you're
mean, I
influenced
love
by?
Marie Forleo. I know
Okay,
that
Marie Folio.
you think she
Okay.
might not be authentic. Is that even okay to say here? Well, you said
No,
it
no,
on
no,
your
I think
podcast. You're like, "I'm not sure about her," but I
no, I
love
think
her.
I don't think that it's not that she's not authentic. So, I mean, I'll go, okay, I'll just take a 30-minute, 30-second reroute. All of these people that I'm talking about, I don't think that they have ill intention at all. Do you know what I mean? I think the problem is more of the industry, not individual people. Because what happens is, like, a lot of times in these kind of, whether it's crypto or real estate scams or whatever it is, there's few bad actors up here. And once there's bad actors, the good actors cannot survive acting good anymore.
Yeah,
Do you understand what I mean? So
totally.
this happens, and I really blame, it's the industry, it's not individuals. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's always going to be somebody who try to take advantage, and then these other people have no choice but to use some of those tactics. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But well, what were we saying right before that?
I was
Murray
you
Folio.
were
Okay,
mentioning
good
somebody that I
example.
like. Yeah.
Let's look at Murray Folio, even like somebody like Tony Robbins or Oprah,
Sure.
right?
Yeah. Love Oprah. Who
What
doesn't?
are their niche?
Y- I mean, yeah, right? I
Yeah, that's what I mean.
yeah, no, good point. Yeah. I would say
So
maybe
I
like
think,
Marie's, her motto might be her niche. Everything is figure outable.
yeah,
But like that
yeah,
is
her
in the
niche
middle,
is
like
her.
babe, maybe. I don't know.
It's the feeling that she gives off. It's
Yeah, yeah,
the niche is like with Oprah is her.
yes.
It's something about her.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So when people come to me, if you look at the people in our community, right? I mean, I'm sure you feel it too. Everybody has something that's connecting all of us,
Mhm.
and that thing is that we it's hard for us to fake it. Do you know what I mean? I think
Yeah.
that's one of them, and but I think there's a bunch of sides to me that makes my brand that, and then there's something about that emotion that people connect with.
Yep.
And here's what I mean, like so niche is that thing that cannot be specified with a specific word, I think. Like, so what's my niche? All of those things: authenticity, storytelling, like all of those things that defines me. Like
Mhm.
I can write a book about my niche, right? But the thing is, how do we deliver this message? How do we let the people in the world know that this is my niche, and then they can feel it? Okay, I get that. I get her, right? How do you
Yep.
do that? By storytelling and things like that. Because when I hear certain stories, or when I hear certain things, like when there was a member who told a story about how, you know, how um she found out that her mom was pregnant, and like her other sister didn't know, so she felt like special, like she felt like the special one who had this knowledge, right? And kind of how, like, when you're in a group or something like that, we feel almost like that because we're like an inner circle or something like that. When I hear like stories like that, I can immediately, like, kind of, the stories is what tells people what your niche is, I think, because
Okay.
they can't put one word on that. But when they hear that story, like, a lot of people say that, I don't know what is it about that story, I just really, found it relatable, or something, like, like
Mhm.
something like that is what you're going for.
Okay. Okay. And does each post have to be a story?
No, no,
No.
definitely not. You should just post whatever you want.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is so helpful. Thank you.
For you, I will 100% go to TikTok.
Okay. I just
Yeah.
started yesterday.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, go
So
heavy, heavy, heavy on TikTok. Yeah,
heavy on TikTok. Do I
yeah,
post on TikTok and Instagram every day?
yeah.
Okay.
I
Can I
mean,
do
just post
the
the
same
same
thing?
thing that you post on TikTok on Instagram.
Oh, post the same things.
Yeah,
Okay, that's what I did, and I got, you know, maybe 50 views of my post yesterday on Insta and then 500 on TikTok, so
the same post.
you're right, yeah.
Yeah, that's why I said post on TikTok, because TikTok algorithm will show you the truth. Like, Instagram favors people who have followers, right? Like, Instagram
Oh,
is biased.
yeah,
They give more exposure to the cool kids, right?
yeah, they don't like me yet.
Yeah, exactly. Until you become, like, once you get to a certain number of followers, you're gonna love Instagram,
Okay,
but on TikTok it's the opposite. It doesn't matter how many followers you have. If your post sucks, you're still gonna get 200 views. Do you understand what I mean?
yeah,
That's actually why I love TikTok,
okay,
because it's the truth. It's
okay,
it's the truth mechanism to show me whether my content is good or not.
okay,
You know what I mean?
yeah, okay, so don't post on stories, get on TikTok, and just
Yeah,
whatever. Good thing I have a lot of interests, 'cause
yeah,
now people might get sick of me,
yeah. And
but
don't stay away from controversies. Is what I'm gonna say. I know a lot of people who feels a certain way, but they're afraid to say it on social media, or out in public. Okay?
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to do that. Don't be afraid to be like, oh, if I say this, it's gonna hurt my business. Like it won't.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I got trolled yesterday because my content was about being queer and the holidays, and I made a funny post about
Yeah.
I'll call your parents in Satan voice and say you're not going to make it to Thanksgiving. And I had a couple, people loved it, but then I had a couple trolls, and
Yeah.
it's like, thank you. So thank
No,
you for
that's what you
doing
want.
that. Yeah,
That's how you weed out the people that are not yours, not your fans.
yeah, yeah.
I mean that it's so sad to watch because I see some content out there that gets 1 million views where they're like lukewarm. People are like, oh, that's cool. And then I see some that might maybe only get 1,000 views, but they're like, it's building a deeper relationship with that audience, right? And that's actually more important than this. I can post a meme, I can post something funny and get 1 million views. That doesn't mean anything. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that's how you find out. I think the more you censor yourself, the more you're gonna get the lukewarm audience. If you want the true audience that are actually gonna pay money to buy your stuff, you have to piss some people off.
Done. I did check yesterday. Awesome.
Yeah, and
Thank
then
you so much.
so for tactics, I would say go heavy on Instagram. I mean, sorry, TikTok.
Yep.
Post the same thing on Instagram too. And then the thing I was telling you about stories, right? So talk about all of the content, and in your stories, so this is what I would say. The content is kind of like the TV show or the TV ad, right? That's how people found out about you. The Instagram stories is kind of like now they called your store, and like you know what I mean. So
Yep.
now you're having the next level relationship with them, right?
Okay.
And then let's say from the stories, like let's say you put out a content something like this, and then you go in the stories and you say, hey, I posted this about today, and if you have any questions about this, just DM me or something like that, right? So people who go to your stories, they called you, right? Once they DM you and say, oh yeah, I saw that video and I didn't understand about this, what did you mean by that, right?
Yeah.
That point they walked into your store.
Okay.
And now you reply to them, right? And then this is how you can use Instagram as almost as a funnel. That doesn't feel salesy, right? Because you're not really you're just putting out content and you're filtering, and then you're answering them.
So no Instagram stories until I have people that I want to sort of talk to specifically. Until I get more than 100.
No, you already have people. You have 160 people.
Yeah.
I mean, like that's. I think a lot of people don't understand that. Like in social media, people are always looking for the new followers. But the way to the new followers is by pleasing your existing followers. And here's why.
Okay.
Because if you have 160 followers and every time you post, like 20 of those people are engaging with your post, that means Instagram's going to be like, oh, this one has a high percentage of engagement. It must be a good post. And it's actually going to show it to more people.
Okay.
But then if your own followers don't like it, they're not going to show it to other people. So first you need to please your own followers first, and then you can worry about it. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. And then at the end, so in 90 posts from now, or 80 posts from now, you'll think that I will have more direction, or I'll know my niche.
Oh, yeah, way before that, I think.
This is so exciting. This is so exciting.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you just have to put yourself out there. And it's going to be a learning experience for you. For me, it was a learning experience because it was the time. It took me that time for me to start loving myself. Like when they say, "Oh, you gotta love yourself," I was always like, "What does that mean?" Like, but then when I kept watching my own videos, like that actually made me love myself because I started to see myself as a third person.
Yeah.
Like how other people would see me. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
then once I did that, I was like, oh, this is how other people see me. I'm like, oh, this guy's dope.
Yeah.
And then I started actually like loving myself, you know. And then
Yeah.
once I started loving myself, I had no problem just showing up as myself, you know.
I love that. That's really beautiful. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah. Okay. uh, yeah. What else? Yeah, I think that's we got plenty of stuff to go from here.
Yeah, God, thank you so much. I just am so stoked to have found you. I was one of those people, speaking of, not to be sycophantic, but in talking of, you were talking about you just being you. The day I found you, I joined this community. Like
Oh
the,
wow.
the
Day
day,
one.
yeah. And so, you're doing great, and
You know
thank
what?
you for being so awesome and real.
Thank you for sharing that because I think that's what happens when you're just being yourself. Something about that without the sales page, without the all the marketing, all the funnels and all of that, something about that draws certain people in
Yeah.
that they even sign up on the first day. And now I'm thinking when I was doing all the sales pages, the salesy way, the marketing way, the funnel way, I wonder how many people like that I was turning off.
Mm,
Do you know what I mean?
yeah. Yep.
So yeah. Thank you so much
Oh,
for
thank you,
coming
son.
on today.
Thank you. I really
Thank you for
appreciate it.
sharing. Thank you for sharing your
Talk
story,
soon.
and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye
Thank you so much.
back. Okay, next. Sorry, that took a little bit longer than expected. Next, we have Bhavya. I hope did I pronounce that correctly, Bhavya? Okay.
Yes.
Hey, Bhavya, good to see you again.
Same
Every time
here.
I see you, your hair is like a little bit longer.
No, I actually just keep it tied up because
Oh,
I'm in Uganda. So every time I have to get on calls with you, it's usually like it's 12 a.m. right now.
oh wow, wow. I
So
should
yeah,
have you gone first. Sorry about
no, that's
that.
fine.
Go ahead. Yeah, where your name, where you're from, and what you do, and
Sure.
your question.
My name is Bhavya. I do B marketing, and that's the name of my company. So the basic, a quick background is I fell in love with advertising and marketing when I was 16, and I started a professional career in it. Some years ago, I quit it, and 2 years ago, I went back to it, and I went back with starting my own agency. But this time, I wanted to do things differently because for anybody who's worked in marketing would know it can get toxic, the hours, the lifestyle. It's really hard. So when I became a mom, I took a break in short. I was an
Got it.
entrepreneur. I was doing other things. I have a fashion line called Kona, which is Afro Indian fashion. So I was becoming an entrepreneur in other ways. And I
Okay.
started building my own product brands. But it's my why. I know that. I absolutely get excited when somebody comes to me, is like, I have this product and I don't know how to sell it, or what should I do about it, or how.
Okay.
It's just like my brain connects dots like left, right, and center. And I'm like,
Okay.
that's what you need to be doing.
Okay.
So I love it. But so I have a couple of where I would, why I wanted to come here is I love marketing. I
Yeah.
do want to help small businesses, but I need to find a balance of finding local small businesses because I'm in Uganda,
Uganda. Yeah.
and the very simply put, majority of the people cannot afford my services, right? So I've worked in Dubai, India. I've worked all over. I've worked with brands
I
like
mean, is it a okay?
cash thing. It's a
But is there
economy.
a need for it?
It is, but it's in a very different way. Very different way. It's very nascent. It's a very small market. Like the entire country is 20, 30 million.
That's not that small. I mean,
It's no,
there are
what I
plenty
mean
of
to tell you
countries like that.
is that 70% of it is
But I
agriculture.
mean, it is Uganda, so like you know, so I
Okay,
mean,
let me put
it's
it
a
in terms that
developing.
will make sense.
Yeah,
$3,800 shillings make $1.
yeah. So it's that it's not that you can't help them, but it's just not profitable. It's there's no way you can do it in a way it'll be the the finances will balance out. Like it won't
Right.
make sense, right? Yeah.
Right. So then I went for medium-sized businesses. I have retainer clients. I have about 5 retainer clients. I'm
Local.
making decent money, local, like
Okay.
locally owned businesses, alcohol distribution, insurance company, things like that. But ideally, I want to be helping small business owners. Obviously, in COVID and internet showed us we can do it anywhere in the world.
Hmm.
But most 70% of my followers are still from Uganda, and I can't seem to be getting out of it. And then I get lost in this whole world where I want to help with marketing, but so many people call themselves coaches. And what am I really doing? And I start getting lost. It's so easy for me to find somebody else's story, but I get start getting lost in my
Okay.
own story. Yeah.
So you're okay. So do you want me to answer you on how you can find your story, or do you want me to answer you on how to get clients internationally?
I guess both. I For me, both are connected. For me, because I'm
Yeah.
stuck. My algorithm's also stuck in all of Uganda. So
Mhm.
for me, both are connected. But sure, anything you want to tell me, I'm here to just listen.
So for if you want to get clients out, okay. I don't have to tell you this because you worked in marketing. And when you worked in marketing before, you were working at an agency?
Yeah, I've
Okay.
worked it with Ogilvy, Publicis. Like
Okay.
I worked in Dubai,
So I
India.
don't
Yeah,
have to tell you, marketing is not about, I want to say it's really about your brand story, all of those things. It's really about the relationship. I'm talking about the business side,
yeah,
getting clients, right? Like the way we get clients. Yes, we do good work, but that's not why we get clients. I mean, I would love to say, oh, yeah, it's just because we do good work we get clients, but I guess they're related. What happens is when you do good work for somebody, the next time this person, here's how referrals really work. I think a lot of like small business, like when you go to these sales seminars and things, like people think that, okay, when you finish your project, send your email client this email that says, okay, can you give us like 5 names that we can reach out to and say, like, this is how people think referrals work, right? Okay, yeah, you can get a lot of referrals that way, but that's how you drive your business to the ground. Or that's how you drive your business to a point where you're on this never ending treadmill,
right,
meaning it, like as soon as you unplug the ads, you unplug the marketing dollars, the business stops.
right.
Okay, because this is not really a brand, it's a funnel machine. That's what it really is.
And
Okay.
that's why I want to get out of agency. Like I want to be doing this online, so I'm more in control of it. I don't want to be growing an agency full time, like into a full blown agency. I would rather be supporting small businesses one on one or through courses or something. I don't know exactly. Like I've tried a few courses, I've done one on one, and it's done well. But finding those clients out of who can afford to pay for those things has been very challenging. So
Yeah,
I
so
feel
that's
very
what I'm saying. What happens is that's how people refer, right? This is
okay.
how referrals really work at with the clients that you want. Okay. I work with the marketing manager at Spotify, and
Okay.
then I make her happy. No matter what it takes, I make her happy. I kiss ass to her. I think, oh, you're so smart, and I bring her coffee. Whatever it takes, I make her happy.
Okay.
And sometimes that means doing amazing work because that's what some people care about. And sometimes it's not about that at all. It depends on the person. Okay. But once she's happy with me, the next time, like whether within the company or a higher level up, or maybe another, if she goes to another company or something like that, somebody that she respects, looks up to, is going to come to him and be like, hey, do you know web designer? Right? Do you know good web designer? Now, when you're at that level, for me, I never refer anyone. Like if I refer somebody, that means this person is probably one of the best at this in the world. That's,
Right.
you know what I mean? It's because it's my reputation. So
Right.
if Mark Randolph came to me, right? If Jay Shetty came to me and, hey, do you know a copywriter or something like that? I'm not just going to refer anyone. Do you understand what I mean? And
Yeah.
we
It
need to
has.
understand yeah, you need to understand the importance of that. So how do I become that person, right? So I do this, boom, this person, okay, now I will work at them. I make them like so happy. right? And then this person next time, like once you build that trust, it's gonna level up. And then up here, this is what's going on. All these people, they don't even look at 99% of the market. They actually don't even do any research. What they do is they just call up. They're like, hey, Mark Zuckerberg, who's the best web designer you know? Mark Zuckerberg be like, oh, you should go with this guy's son. This is how referrals really work. Okay. So I don't think that, but with small businesses,
And online, right?
yeah, I mean that's a tricky thing. That's a tricky thing because okay, let me ask you this first.
Sure.
Why do you want to work with small businesses?
Okay. So when I left agency, you'll pick up so many things about marketing. But when I became
Mhm.
an entrepreneur, it's not just the marketing bit that I support with. I learned so many small, small things that make such a game changing thing. Like a simple example, the biggest mistake most small businesses make, even while they're setting up a marketing strategy, is they don't pay themselves a salary.
But that's not the job of an agency though.
No, so that's why I'm not going into the agency side. The side I want to
Okay.
grow and I want to get away
You
from.
want to be a business coach.
More marketing, but
Okay.
okay, let me put it like this.
What you just said about taking home salary has nothing to do with marketing.
Agreed. I'll explain what I mean. Simple thing is when I'm talking to them, they're like, "Oh, I don't think this business is working out, or this particular product is not working." Sometimes they think marketing and sales is the answer, but for a small solopreneur who's sitting there by themselves, when I start asking them questions, it's not marketing that the problem. There is the back end that's not fixed. So that then I step in and say, "Have you figured this part out? Because marketing is not going to work if this part is not there." So
That's the
maybe
exact that's exactly why I asked that question because in the beginning I work with small businesses. Small businesses are the worst nightmare like for agencies.
yeah.
And the reason why is because small business have no money, but they're very demanding. They require a lot more work. Like I can do 20 hours of work for Spotify and make $10,000. But in order to make for me to make $10,000 from a small business, I need to do 3 months of work. Like that's why, and the reason why is because no matter what I do, like with Spotify, if I just make a dope landing page for them, they got the rest down. I don't have to worry about their marketing. Like I don't have to worry about their fulfillment and all of this, their IT and all of that. But with a small business, I can do the best job in this landing page. It's not going to make a difference if everything else is broken.
True.
So I would think deeply, very deeply about whether you really want to be an agency that serves small business or not. Because a lot of people that I know go into being an agency for small businesses, they come out with a lot of resentment.
And
I
while
just think
talking to
that
you, I'm realizing that to be honest, I don't want to stay in the agency structure. I've set it up. If I have 5 clients and I make a basic amount from there, that is good enough for livelihood. But where my satisfaction lies, maybe you're right.
is
Maybe
coaching.
I hate the word coaching. I hate the word coaching. It's so abused. But yeah,
Why?
it.
I mean, I'm a coach. You
No,
know.
I know what you mean. But you know how many people call themselves coaches today, and it's just like, oh my god. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's okay. You have to lean into that.
Okay.
I heard Gary Vee say this once, right?
Mm.
He hates that people think calls him a motivational speaker because that's the least of what he does. He's an operator. He's a business entrepreneur and operator. That's what he does 90% of the time. But because everybody calls him a motivational speaker, he owns it and he says, "Yeah, I'm a motivational speaker." I mean, you are what everybody says you are. It doesn't matter what you know what I
Yeah.
mean. Like
So
it's just
would
a
you say
title.
that even on
You know?
Instagram, like we stop? So I talk a lot about, like I like simplifying marketing concepts
Mhm.
and simplifying it so that a solopreneur can go try this. Like I actually followed you. Honestly,
Hmm.
I'm so grateful to be here. First of all, I started following you because you were one of the first people who was talking about storytelling so openly and not in a very jargony, very marketing research, LinkedIn
Hmm.
page type. You know what I mean? Like, you know how people get
Yeah,
like, find the hero, then the second story. This is
yeah,
like,
yeah,
it's not like that.
yeah, yeah,
So I
yeah.
really enjoyed that. And I was like, okay, here's somebody who knows how to handle this. Because one of the first things that about 9 months ago, I put together was okay, storytelling is the way forward for small businesses to become brands. I'm no expert, but this is what I'm working on. And I do find other people's stories, how to find stories for their business. It's something that I
Do you
love
want
doing.
to do one-on-one coaching, or do you want to do groups, or do you want to work with entrepreneurs one-on-one?
I wouldn't mind working with entrepreneurs one on one. I would
Okay.
like it, but I also want to find the balance of mental satisfaction and financial satisfaction
I guess what
because
I'm trying to ask is, how deeply do you want to be involved? Meaning, if you look at this business, it's really about how deeply you're involved, right?
yeah,
Like if you're, for example, if you're if you're like Tony Robbins charging like $50,000 an hour to the vice president of the United States, working one on one and directly making sure that there's an impact. That's at one level. Like that's there's a very deep relationship there, right? Like you're really like your job is to make sure that that person succeeds, right?
right.
And then here, all the way on over here, is a $20 book that you wrote that they can pick up and they can do it or not do it, right? Like how much of a involvement do you want? That makes all the difference in the world.
I think it would have to be like a 3 month involvement because I think minimum, like if you're going to sit down and work with somebody
But
one on
like for example, let's say you work with somebody for 3 months, right? And you're
one,
coaching them how often?
once a week.
Okay. Like, is that where it ends? Like, what if that person doesn't, follow through or do anything? Like, do you
No,
understand
so
what I mean?
so I did create a program and I
Yeah,
found about 4 or 5 people and it went well.
yeah,
But I don't know what happened. Somewhere down the line, I lost the thread. So it was like a 3 month program. We offered them a WhatsApp group where they could leave questions. We checked
mhm.
in. There was accountability. There was like workbooks for them to do because it was also like, hey, what is your offer creation versus then we were
Okay, so
marketing.
you want to you want to be involved. Like,
Yes,
it's not like, uh, you know, just because a lot of coaches don't really get that involved. Like,
really.
when you hire a coach, you're basically, you're buying hours from that coach,
Yeah,
right? And they're gonna tell you what to do, like what you should do,
yeah,
and they're gonna check in on you. But they're like, at the end of the day, you still have to do it,
yeah,
right? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I think that involved, like for example, when I'm working with my clients, and then even farther than coaching, like I would say you almost want to be here, all the way in the extreme end, because after that is the agency.
Uh,
Like here is like I'm gonna do everything in my power to help you without doing it for you. And then
yes,
once you cross over to the agency side, you're like, nah, I'm gonna do it for you. Right? That's do you
that's
understand what I mean?
exactly where I want to be. Yes, thank you. I've
Yeah.
never thought of it like that, but yes.
So if you don't want to be here, so you want to be right here. So you need to be, I think the only way you can do that is through one-on-one coaching, really.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Because that's the one step below doing it for them, right?
Yeah,
So
because
maybe
the
like what you're
management
doing
process
is,
are very exhausting.
yeah.
Like I'm doing digital marketing for like even 5 clients. It's very exhausting. Like it's something that I know it'll give me a burnout very fast.
Oh, so you prefer one-on-one.
I no, what I mean is like I have retainer clients and I can see how demanding medium-sized businesses also get.
Oh, okay.
So I would like that I only have 4 or 5 clients. I have a small team that supports me and we manage those clients because it's good income.
Mm.
But at the same time, the fulfillment factor is to see somebody small starting a business and taking them places. It's this fulfillment in that.
Then you should do coaching.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
okay,
one on
let's
one,
just make
almost
sure
on
though. I
edge.
want to just make sure
Yeah.
because there's certain, okay, you're looking at me. I am that person who I've done the whole agency thing. Yes, I can make money with that,
Hmm.
but I learned that I don't want to do that, right? Where I
Hmm.
get the most fulfillment from, even when I was working at the agency, the most fulfillment I got was when I was training my employees or when I was coaching my clients. Okay.
Yeah.
So now that so I know that that's what I want because
Hmm.
this is what I love. And I broke it even down. Like I thought about this for a long time because a
Sure.
lot of people will say, "Oh, I just love helping people. I just love helping small business." But like that's so fucking cliche because everyone says that shit. This is
Hmm.
what I say. I say I love opening the eyes of somebody who was so blind that they have no idea. Like it almost feels like you're watching a baby crawling against the cliff. They're about to fall off, and I went and I saved them. That's what it feels like. And that
Right.
there's nothing. There's it's and then I give so many analogies, right? I say, that kid that's like crying because they couldn't tie their shoes, and you go there and you help them you tie their shoes, and all of a sudden they're like, they act like you saved them their life, like that feeling, of like somebody feeling hopeless or somebody feeling like completely, ignorant, and I show them, and that look on their face when you show them, they're like, holy shit, like that's
Right.
priceless. And that's why I do it, right? So when I say like that, I'm saying the same shit, but I'm showing you, um, that it's not bullshit.
No.
Because now when I say like this, you're like, oh shit, I know exactly what you mean. That's exactly why I feel that way too, right? So something like that. So that's what I
Yeah.
want to. But because of that, my brand, I can put us. See, I was on a podcast the other day, and he asked me a really, really profound question, which I have thought about for a long time, which was like, son, like, I know you're like talking about authenticity, blah, 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 and you're like, money is not a priority for you, right? The financial thing is not a priority for you because it's easy
You
for
have,
you to say. You already have your agency,
you have it.
all of that, right? Like you don't have to worry about money, right? Yes, true.
Yeah.
Like I'm at a place, I'm lucky that I'm at a place right now where I can take that risk, right? But the thing is, I was thinking about it. Fast forward 12 years when I first started Night Owl, the agency, I was not in that place. I had no money in the bank. I was renting out my apartment to Airbnb guests so that I can use that money to like pay to make up for the salaries and like
Yeah.
just to keep my business afloat. You know what I mean?
Right.
But even then, I had principles and I didn't take on certain projects. And even then, I didn't sacrifice my values for money.
Hmm.
So if I didn't have my agency and if I was broke right now, I think I would have the same message, I think. And I think
Right.
that's part of the reason, and I think that's one of those things where you have to double down on one thing. You either, okay, I'm going for financial security,
Mm.
or I'm going for this, which is more important than financial security. And if you're not at a place where you're not financially secure,
Mm.
I believe that your first job has to fix that first. To
So agency is going to be for financial security, and I've made
Yeah,
my peace with it.
okay,
But
yeah.
the coaching,
Then I
I
think
really
you should
want
just
to
go. You
explore.
shouldn't even think about money then. I think
Yeah.
you should pour your heart out, because I think what's going to happen is when you do that,
Yeah.
that's when all your brand messaging, everything starts to fit. The reason why that brand messaging, that authenticity and all of that, the story doesn't really fit, and people come to me like, oh yeah, I have a story, but I don't know if I don't think it's the right one. And the reason why people feel that way is because
Right.
there's inconsistency in their what they're saying and what they're doing. And the reason why that happens, for example, if I say like, I don't care about money, I just want to do this, but if I go out and talk about like the problem with online courses that most people don't finish them and stuff like that, then I gotta own that, and I gotta say in my sales page same thing. I gotta say 70% of people at Night Owl Nation don't come to small groups. Like, don't waste your money. Don't join if you're gonna do that, right? I have
Yeah,
to be complete, like in all areas of my life. Like, I
have to
have
look
to
at it.
confront. Like, if I get on a podcast, let's say with Portfolio, or let's say somebody that I respect, who I feel like is doing the thing that I'm talking about, I can't be like, oh yeah, oh no, you're fine. Like, that's what most people do. Like, oh, I wasn't talking about you. Like, no, I gotta call them out. But like, I understand that you didn't do it on purpose, but Murray Folio, I gotta call you out. What you're doing is hurting more people than helping.
Right.
That's the fact, right? Like, and most people can't do that. Like, do you understand the significance of what I just said? Like,
Yeah. It's
for
insane because
me,
you're going to call out people who are not living the life,
yeah,
right? So yeah,
for me, who's trying to get into this world of
right.
online education, where Murray Folio is probably like on top of that game, right?
Yeah,
Who is also has a course with Laura Belgray, who is my mentor,
right.
and I'm calling her out.
Hmm.
And if you can't do that, then you're not putting your money where your mouth is, right?
Fair enough.
And I think that's the problem. Most people, when they say they can't come up with the right story about that's really not it. It's that there's some sort of incongruency between what they feel, but
Hmm.
there's something about it that they fear. They're like, oh, but I can't really say that because of this. I can't, I don't want to piss off this person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All of those things is what blocks us from. So that's what I think. I think that brand message, you just have to double down. And I think it sounds like what you want to do is coaching. Like,
And do you think like the fact that we're supporting small businesses, and I do look into what else, because I actually make them write down all that they're earning and why, how much sales they want to get. So then what is the process of
that's
getting that?
your, then that's your, see, like what I said to Beck, the biggest advice I can give you is stop looking for your niche, story, your brand strength, things like that.
Okay.
Because it'll naturally come to you. I think what's gonna happen is if you go out and you like from now on you shift this gear. You're like, okay, from now on, from the moment I wake up, the moment I go to sleep, like the reason why I'm on here on this earth
Hmm.
is so that I can help that person show what they don't know and see that look on their face. And I get so
Right.
much fulfillment out of that. This is my mission, right? Like whether you do it on Zoom, whether you get paid to do it, not paid to do it, you're doing it on Instagram, or you're just going on YouTube like this, doing a lot. It doesn't matter. That is what you're doing. And then once you come with that attitude and you do everything that you do will be done differently. The sales pages that you do, like it'll manifest in a different way. And then what's going to start happening is everybody's going to be like, oh yeah. Then they're going to be like, oh yeah, Bhavya is so great. Like she's like a coach, but she almost kind of like is also like an agency because she does some of these things for me, or she gives me like more specific. She actually helps me with my story and things like that, right?
Yeah.
So as long as you let go of, okay, I need to define myself as this word, I need to define myself with this phrase. Every time you do that, you're locking yourself and you're actually going to try to change yourself towards that.
Right.
But when you let these things go, that's when you can be really free without any fear, any doubt, or anything like that. You can just be yourself and you can speak passionately and you're just pouring your
Yeah.
heart out, right? That's what you need to do. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's how you're gonna really get in touch with the real you, who's in touch with your audience, and then things starts to become clear. Like it's like, okay, clearly, when I'm just purely 100% being myself, these are my audience, and what they care about is this. They love me because I'm the only agency or only marketer that they can hire that actually coaches them on their business or something like that, right? You know what I mean? The truth will just come out if you stop looking for it.
Okay. It makes it. I've actually got. I want to tell you that there's one thing that just clicked. And I've been struggling this for over 1 year. The truth is, you're absolutely right. I've been trying to figure out whether I'm an agency or how am I putting my. And every time I get lost, I hold back, and then the whole the way the content is, the way the
Yeah,
engagement
you
is.
can't be yourself then at that point.
I'm
Yeah.
not being myself.
Yeah.
I'm not.
It's hard to be yourself when you have these experts whispering in your ear, like, no, you should be doing, oh, no, you got to make reels. No, you got to point fingers and do trending. Like, when you have all these voices like telling you this, it's
Yeah,
hard for you to be yourself.
yeah. And I got caught in. I did get caught up in that, and I think only thing I would definitely clarify with you, Suni, is so like
Mhm.
when you're doing authentically your content, I think eventually over a period of time, it will cross over from the geographical limitations if it's good
For you?
enough, the content. For me.
Yeah. I don't know because I don't know the technicalities of how that works. What I
Mm,
do know is I know a lot of people like in Nigeria, and
mm,
like I know a lot of people in certain countries where they're able to, like, where majority of their audience is globally, right? So I
okay.
don't think it's that, but maybe this, right? Maybe because this is what I think of social media. I think the social media is not really like, you know, you you put it out there and they'll come. Like, I don't
Hmm.
think it really works like you build it and they'll come. It doesn't work like that. I think
I
it's
wish.
you have to go into in within Instagram there are neighborhoods. Okay,
Hmm.
here's a neighborhood of all the cryptocurrency people. And within that neighborhood, there's a micro neighborhood of NFT. There's a micro neighborhood of like Bitcoin maximalists.
Right.
There's a micro neighborhood of people who are trying to scam other people. You know what I mean? And then over
Yeah, I
here,
know exactly
there's a
what you mean.
so there's neighborhoods in there, right?
Okay.
What you need to do is you need to start slowly network, like reaching out to the people in the neighborhood that you want to be, and you need to make friends with like 5 to 10 people in that neighborhood, and
Right.
that's how you start that, you know what I mean? And the neighborhood is not geographical location. Neighborhood is like, for
No.
you it will be like uh, entrepreneurship, solopreneurs, these like the same people that follow me, right? It's like,
Yeah.
no, so that's perfect, right? So joining Night Owl Nation and just kind of networking within there, because what's going to happen is now here's people, right? And then they're going to start sharing your content. You go on one of their podcasts, and then like you reach out to, you know, you know, I don't know if I've ever said this before, but Instagram is kind of like a popularity contest, kind of like high school. So what happens is like,
Okay.
what happens is like you network with somebody that has like 1,000 followers, right?
Hmm.
And then that person starts sharing it, but that person has already networked with people that are a little bit above them, right? Some people that have like 5,000 followers,
Mm.
and then of course other people too. But they've connected with a couple of influencers that have 5,000 followers, right? So
Right.
if I connect with this person and this person likes me, and I keep sharing his content, and one day he's gonna share my content, and then
Right.
one of these people are gonna see it because they followed them, right? And then you
Right.
do that long enough, now you got on their radar, and they're like, oh, I like this guy, and then you connect with them, and then they share their content, and that now you level up and you level up. So it's kind of like a high school, like it is kind of like a
Climbing the social
popularity.
ladder.
Yeah, but I mean that's life. I think life is one big popularity contest.
I believe me, you pushed. I will give a shout out to Gigi here. And your last Sunday call, I got in, and I'm one of those people. I'm all in or I'm all out. So when I show up, I will participate. And she wrote there, and you were speaking something. And it was very motivating. I can't remember the exact example, but she just sent the link of saying, "There's a hot seat available. There's a do a Wednesday workshop. Believe it or not, I'm doing this with you today. On Wednesday, I'm doing the Wednesday workshop." I was like, you know what? I'm all in. Let's just do this. Let's figure out how this is going to go.
Gigi got you at the right time.
And no, and you were saying something about like how get out of your comfort zone, like like challenge yourself. Like you were talking
Hmm.
about confidence. Yes, I remember now. You're talking about telling us stories and how to say them, like just say it out loud, share it. And I
Hmm.
was like, you know what? This is what I want to be doing. I'm going to get on this hot seat, however small and ridiculous I feel. I'm going to do this. And I'm going to show up for Wednesday workshop, and we'll see what happens.
Can I tell you something right now? Like even now, like the way you're talking is slightly different than the way you talk in your videos.
Yes.
Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
So you need to really, really get comfortable with, you know, like which one is the real you, and
This.
how can I talk like that all the time? You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
because that I think we subconsciously do that. We subconsciously, you know, hold ourselves back. Like, you know, if we're in a room with 10 people, we hold ourselves to back even more. Maybe it's one person, maybe a little less, you know. So
Yeah. Actually, of recent, what has happened is I live in a small town, and I hear this sentence almost every week is like, oh, yeah, we only see you online these days. So I think I became a little conscious and I was like, oh, okay, because everyone knows everybody, right? It's a
yeah.
small place. And they're like, oh, so to meet you, we meet you online? I'm like, yeah, maybe. Because I'm trying to put out content every day. And I'm like, you don't understand. This is not my game. Like, what I want to be doing, I have to be putting out content every day. And I'm trying hard. But yeah, I guess I did become a bit.
Wait, do you do a podcast?
No, I do Instagram like literally every day. I try and put up a reel, talking reel,
So
other
you
reel.
record it every day, like yourself, like, and
I
you
collect.
just
Sometimes I do two, three. Yeah, yeah,
okay,
yeah.
okay, yeah. I mean, for you, podcast might be faster because then you're just talking for an hour, and then you know you just have to have an editor just, you know,
Okay,
edit out the clips or something like that.
for
But
sure.
yeah, I think it's kind of like yeah, what I said in the last person with Beck, like, don't hold yourself back at all, because that's the only way you can know, like, who you really are, who your real audience is, you know, why you're really doing this and all of that. But from having this conversation, it's very clear. I think for me, the people who are like have that coaching personality, I
Mm.
think that they just love coaching. And I know you don't like that word, but maybe it's
No,
not
no, no.
that.
But I have
Yeah,
to accept it. I have to live with it.
yeah. They love actually making a difference rather than, because you know what I mean. Because
Yeah.
like I can see a difference between people who can do a course and
Hmm.
they don't need any feedback. Like they're completely fine. Like versus somebody who like feel the need to be like, I actually want to make a difference. Like I want to check in on them and things like that.
Yeah.
It's like a different. This person could never be like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think you're absolutely right because I felt very lost when I had to do the business on my own. And I felt like and especially for women, I find like the part of the world I am in, it's like I have the privilege of education, but then there are a lot of women who start businesses and solopreneurs because they have to give up their careers, something that I experienced when I became a mom. And I was like, but we're not educated in the same way that, oh, you want to start a business. It's so easy. But nobody tells you that, boss, there's so many other things you need to get in order, or the
Yeah.
shit's not going to fly. It's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but I think it's also, I think it's the same here. Like I think a lot of female entrepreneurs here,
Yeah.
they feel like you know, like the common story that I hear is they feel like they're not a legit business. Like
Yes.
they constantly have
Imposter.
to prove. Like I heard this story from Rachel Hollis where she said she would go to like when she was starting her blog and her blog was making like $100,000 a year, which is good money.
Wow.
She would always go to like her Thanksgiving dinner and feel embarrassed, and she wouldn't talk about her business. And so people were like, "Oh, how's your business going?" Like her dad would ask her like, "How is your business going?" And she'll just be like, "Oh no, it's just a small blog." Like she'll downplay it, right?
Mm.
Because she feels
Yeah.
like that's not her place or something like that. Like I think there's still a lot of that stigma going on, even here
Right.
in the United States. Yeah.
I think it's everywhere. Like I've had conversations with people from different parts of the world, and
Mhm.
the imposter syndrome. I'm telling you myself, like I thought I was a fairly confident person. I've done other businesses, but when I started this on my own, and then my sister joined me, this is the business that makes me wonder. Like I meet 22-year-olds who are doing marketing coaching, and I'm here. I'm like, can I do this? I don't think I'm qualified to do this. No, I can't do this. So I feel like that when I see the others online, and I'm like, okay, leave it.
You know, I always wanted to say this. Here's the thing, and this is like kind of like uh subliminally I think what I'm really trying to do. So if you look in the world, in any kind of field, whether you're a designer, marketer, um, you know, musician,
Yeah.
does any field, there's the people who are like really, really good at it, good at their craft. And there's people up here who are super successful. But those people are almost never the people that are good at the craft. Do you understand what I mean? They're the ones who know how to sell themselves the best.
Yeah.
Okay. And what happens is because of these people don't actually like even the people who are really the geniuses, like the Einsteins, like the the geniuses don't ever like because they don't care about that stuff. They don't, you know what I mean? They don't sell themselves. They don't know how to market themselves. But if these people actually knew how to market themselves and they were the ones that appear,
Mm.
like we would be living in a different world. Because think about it, like
Yeah.
if every designer, every programmer, every artist, every whatever job is, every engineer, every doctor, dentist, every construction worker, if the best of the best were actually on the top, like we would be living in a much better world. We wouldn't be dealing with like poor customer service, like bugs on the website all the time. We wouldn't be dealing with that.
No.
So secretly, my mission is to teach these people who are too quiet. They're good at their job, but they're too quiet. Teach them how to sell themselves so they'll actually, make a difference, right? Instead
And
of just
you're very
yeah,
right. You said something very important right now, Sunny. Like, a lot of people who, like, I started as a graphic designer, art director, and believe me, 3 years into my career, I knew I was not the topmost graphic designer and art director. I know this. I'm telling you, I'm not. But what I did know, what I did differently was I was an idea person. And especially in the advertising circles, most ideas used to come from copywriters. So when I walked into boardrooms,
yeah,
they were like, you don't need to be here for this meeting. The copywriter will tell you the direction. And
yeah,
I was like, no, but I want to be here for this meeting. I want to be
yeah.
doing this. So I found like, okay, I'm the idea person. I'm not the greatest designer on earth.
Mm,
And you're right. Like there's so many people who are such amazing designers, but they don't know how to communicate or tell their story. Yeah.
yeah,
Thank you
yeah,
so much for doing
exactly.
this community. And by the way, I am in a very technical community. I will not take the name. But there's a stark difference. And I said this in my small group. One of my teammates is here giving me shout outs. Thanks, Luis. So um, I wanted to
Hi,
tell you was
Louise.
there's a big difference between um, I'm part of two circle based courses, groups, whatever. The other one is so technical, very business driven, everything, but I show up more on your group because it feels like, you know what, I know I'm feeling lazy, I know I'm feeling tired, but I need to show up for my team. And like, look, this is simple, like I can
Mm.
do this much, but it's such a warm feeling. So I don't know how you've done it, I don't know how you've managed to make 5,000 people feel warm and cuddly, but congratulations.
Well, I can't take all the credit. It really is. Uh, uh, Actually, this is not advice for you, but just for people in general. If you're building a community or anything like that, um, like when we think too big, like 5,000, 50,000, like when we think too big, we tend to become disconnected, right? But when we think just one, like one member at a time, like okay, yes, I'm not gonna be able to do this with every member, but I will do it with this one member, right? And I will do it with this one, like just showing the genuinity of that I'm really trying to do my best. What happens is I think then people feel that and they actually want to give back, right? And that's why we have those volunteers of like small group leaders, the community leaders. That these people are like really the reason why it feels that way.
Yeah,
And yeah, it's really beautiful. Yeah,
it is.
thank you for saying
Thank you so
that.
much for helping me today. I have a lot of homework to do. I've been writing notes. That's why I kept looking down, guys. I was not being crazy. I was writing notes. So yeah,
Awesome.
thank
Yeah, I
you.
think we got into a lot. It was really really good episode. Thank you both
Thank you.
for coming on. I will see you guys hopefully this Sunday service. Thank you
Yes.
all for the rest of the group. Thank you for watching. Thank you for staying on. The replay will be on YouTube. Oh, by the way, if anybody who's a Night Owl member wanna join, come on a guest, just message Gigi. Okay, thank you. Bye everyone. Cheers.